Digital A11Y Insights, your accessibility partner. Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about information and relationships. We're also going to talk about its importance, requirements, and learnings and examples. Now, let's understand why is it that using native semantics to code the content is the crux of the success criterion. Why is semantic coding important? Well, it becomes easy for screen readers and assistive technologies to decode the content for users and establish relationships between content and UI control. It becomes comprehensible for user agents to render the content. Additionally, machines read the contents and index them easily. Now, let's learn about what is included in semantic coding. Headings, lists, tables, form, label relationships, a grouping of related form controls, using semantic tags for text instead of CSS or stylus languages. Now, let's talk about requirements of headings. One should use H1 to H6 for appropriate headings instead of making text look like headings via CSS. One should provide an appropriate hierarchy of headings so that the content structure is well understood by the users. One should not provide heading markups for big sentences or paragraphs. And one should not skip heading levels as much as possible. Now, let's look at some examples. On the product details page, the product name must be in H1. Other product details sections like product description, technical specification, and reviews must be in H2. Any subsections of each section must be in H3. Now, let's talk about the requirements of lists. One should use ordered and unordered list markup for grouping the same type of elements or when providing pointers, instructions, step-by-step procedures. One should not include huge paragraphs or chunks of text in the lists. Now, let's take a look at examples. When there's a group of quick links arranged vertically, could be in an unordered list markup, or on a page of making a cake recipe, the procedural steps must be in an ordered list. Now, let's talk about tables. Tables are great ways to present data and establish relationships between them. But for people with no vision or limited vision who use screen readers, it would be difficult to understand when CSS is used to create tables, or tables are not provided with appropriate table columns and row headers. Let's have a look at the requirements of tables. One should use appropriate and native HTML markup when presenting data. One should provide column and row headers to establish a relationship between headers and data cells. When using layout tables, for aesthetic purposes, one should not use column and row headers. One should provide captions that would be helpful to users understand the purpose of the tables when multiple tables are present on a page. Let's look at one example. A page presents the athletic and physical scores of cricket team members. To relate the data in the members' names, a data table must be used with proper column and row headers. Now, let's learn about form labels and grouping for form fields. Visual users would easily comprehend the relationship between the form fields and their respective labels just by looking at the screen. But for people who use screen readers, it would be difficult to do so unless the form labels and their fields are programmatically associated. This takes us to the requirements. One should use label tags, the for and id method for HTML specs to semantically and programmatically associate input fields and the labels. Otherwise, use ARIA techniques to achieve the same. When there are a group of checkboxes or radio buttons tied up with questions group labels, either use field sets and legend or use ARIA techniques to group them. Let's look at one example. In a college-university application form, the fields and their labels must be programmatically associated, and radio and checkboxes buttons must be grouped with relevance to the question asked to the applicants. Associate instructions and error messages to the respective input fields. Let's look at other requirements. Provide strong and M to the bold and italicized text respectively. Provide P for the large chunk of text. Now, from what we have learned so far, one should not rely on only visual styles for authoring content. One should use proper and native semantic code practices to ensure assistive technologies, user agents, and other machine reading devices decode and render content in more discernible ways. This is the end of the video. Thank you for joining. If you like the video, do like and subscribe.